Yeah, g'day, it's Charlie ZL2 CTM. Well, basically this video is about digging out this little Tramping CW transceiver for 40 meters, and just basically getting it back on air, just making sure everything was okay before going out for a tramp in a week or so. Just had a QSO with ENZL2 AIM, which I'll leave on later on in this particular video. But I haven't really done CW in anger for many years, and it certainly showed. It was basically a very poor QSO with Ian, but we managed to exchange RSTs and that, so that was good. But it certainly did highlight that I need to spend some good old practice with the straight key here and getting back into it again. But the good thing is the radio's working well, and you may recall that rather than having a separate key like this or a small tramping one, what I elected to use is to use this little micro switch here, which works well. Now this is not actually transmitting here, but there is side tone through the speaker. So yeah, it works well. It doesn't quite have the same feel. You can't sort of pump your wrist, but I think for a CW key it seems to work reasonably well. But anyway, suffice to say, the QSO certainly highlighted a real need for me to spend some quality time with the CW key, do some practice on both transmit and receive, and get the proficiency right back up there, and then get back into it. But it also, the secondary thing, it actually did sort of rekindle my interest in CW. When I first qualified as a ham some years ago, the guy who taught me Morse basically said for the first, now I can't quite remember if it was 6 months or for the first year, it was a reasonable amount of time, he said disconnect the microphone from your transceiver, put it in a drawer and don't use it. Only send for that first 6 to 12 months Morse code, just to really cement your operating proficiency in that mode, and then later on you can introduce the SSB, which I actually did, and I really did enjoy the CW. I'm not a big rag chewer, I don't really have a lot to say, and I must admit tonight, sort of getting back into it, it sort of really did sort of rekindle that interest I have in CW. So what I might actually do, on that basis, I might actually start to build a few more CW rigs. And that might be quite an opportune time, because you recall in the last video, just sitting over the back here, is just been putting some thought and doing some reading over the last week or so on high power amplifiers that I was going to, and I am looking to dig out some of these amplifiers here, pull them apart, and then go back to sort of first principles, looking at the the VCC squared over 2 times power out, looking for loads, for example, on those transistors, and sort of going back to first principles to see if I can better understand now the power amplifiers. But I guess that what I was just sort of going on before, maybe I could do that work there with the power amplifier in conjunction, so it'll be a class C amp, in conjunction with building a CW rig. So what I might actually do that. Actually, I think I might build a CW base rig. And what I may elect to do is actually, rather than using a commercial crystal filter here, maybe try and do a homebrew one potentially. I think I do have another CW filter lying around, I think. So potentially, like I say, either use commercial or go homebrew, but I think I might do that. I think I might just build a nice CW rig, try and put some thought and some and care into waveform shaping, and use the old straight key there, and just get back into it. And potentially might actually be an option there to build into the transceiver a CW decoder, which why not? If I'm going to put an Arduino in there or a microcontroller to run the SI5351, which I'll do that again, why not have the spare cycles actually helping to do a bit of decoding? Not that I want to rely on the screen for decoding the message, but while I'm sort of getting back up to speed, should the brain have a bit of a freeze there, then I've got the ability to just double check on the screen what was sent. So that's something I might sort of think about actually. So I think this video here sort of turned into thoughts for the next build. I will put on now, I'll sort of splice in a little bit of that contact with Ian, which certainly highlights that I do need to do a little bit more practice. In fact, let's be honest, quite a bit more practice before getting back on the air again. So I won't do that. I won't get back on the air again until I've got a bit more proficiency. Or if I do, I will arrange a sked to actually do on-air practice, which actually might be a nice way to actually take this out tramping. So I might organise through the local club or someone here in New Zealand doing just that, organise a sked while I'm away tramping in the context of actually practicing. So that actually might be a nice way of killing two birds with one stone. Anyway, like I say, I'll pause here because I'm starting to ramble. I'll splice in a couple of bits off that last video, of that last contact, more the point, and then I think I might turn to a little bit of noodling on this the CW rig. Anyway, I'll pause there and splice some more in. Oh, here he is here. I'll just go to fine tuning. Yeah, well, I'm not going to try and talk this guy, it's way too fast for me. No. I will find someone who's a little bit more in line with my abilities. Yep, we'll keep going, and like I say, if I get someone, I'll start to record again. We'll go from there. Okay. So that goes through. Oh, that's good. Should be zero to aim. Oh. My Morse is terrible. Oh well. Yep, it's very nice of him to slow down for me, but classic example of why I need to do some more practice. So